All right, we are live, and this is the Looking for Bigfoot News Hour, Finding Bigfoot After Show. And hey, we got somebody back with us this week. Yeah, Jennifer's back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spent a couple days in Williamsburg with high school friends. It was fun.
That's
Very
good.
hot. Very hot.
That's great. Shane is going to be back in 2 weeks, by the way, folks, in case y'all are wondering. Yeah.
Great.
So, well, let's see. If tonight's Finding Bigfoot, well, let's see. As far as our rating on it, well, we'll get to that at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
But I think this was their first time in Missouri.
Yeah, I think so.
And they were in the Ozarks I guess, Missouri. I guess the Ozarks kind of in southwestern Missouri.
Yeah.
In the southwestern Missouri region.
Arkansas.
Yeah, close to Arkansas. And the Ozarks also extended into eastern Oklahoma also.
Yeah, right.
So they went there, and there were no videos, no audio recordings, no photographs or anything like that brought them there. They just wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because they heard stories of something called the Blue Man.
The Blue Man, yeah. That's very interesting how that name got attached.
Yes, it was a local individual.
Yeah, back just after the Civil War, and he had been of course, in Missouri, you have to understand, during the Civil War, they were quite divided. And this guy was a Union sympathizer. And
right.
So he was called, I guess, the Blue Man.
Well, he was called Blue. He was called Blue Soul. And
yeah, because his name was Solomon. That's right. Yeah.
Yes. And the name, and apparently when he saw this creature, this large creature,
right.
It was given the name Blue Man.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And they actually they did something which I thought was interesting tonight. They met with a local historian in the area.
Yeah, that was really good.
Who told them about this sighting this individual had way back in the 1800s.
Right.
And I think they should do that more often. Meet with local historians.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, historians and people who are, part of the community, but also, have a background in history and things like that. I mean, that was quite interesting, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. They should meet with local people who might know a little bit about the area, might know something about. If you see me doing this on occasion, mosquitoes. Yeah. But and then they conducted their first night investigation, and Matt and I think it was Matt and Bobo were together on one end, and Renee and Cliff on the other.
Yeah.
And Renee and Cliff had something happen to where it looked as if it may have been some kind of a I don't know if it was a branch broken or a tree fell over or pushed over or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was a thump that Bobo and Matt heard.
Right.
Although, I'm wondering if that might have been if something like a rock falling off a cliff or a
yeah.
I don't mean falling off Cliff Barrickman. I mean falling off a cliff. Or maybe a tree branch falling down or something like that.
Yeah. It was they enhanced the sound.
Amplified. No, we can't say enhanced because enhancement.
Yes.
Like
amplified the sounds this time, and that was really helpful.
Yep, and they did hear coyotes. I mean, there were plenty of coyotes.
Wow. A lot of coyotes there.
Yeah, and they certainly were able to get those You know, the audio on that was very good. I
Yeah,
thought the way that they were able to record those
yeah.
with the audio equipment that they had.
And the coyotes, at least in one instance, were quite close. You know, and that, wow.
Yeah,
That would worry me a little bit. Not scare me, but worry me.
yeah, yeah. I have to agree. But they really didn't get much else. Although, I mean, Moneymaker, of course, seemed convinced. Oh, it was a Sasquatch.
Oh gosh. Should we talk about
Uh,
money now or just wait?
I think we're going to build up to it. I think
Okay.
I think we're going to do a
Okay.
slow burn. We're going to build up to it. Um, so they went and had the town hall meeting,
Right. There
and
were,
they got some
yeah.
happened to them, including a good friend of mine, Mr. Ron Bowles,
Hmm.
stood
Yeah.
up.
His story was pretty interesting, I thought.
Yeah, and I give his a good bit of credibility, not just because I know him, but I don't think he's the type who would lie about something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, they actually went and investigated his account,
Yeah, they did.
and I thought his was very interesting. He and a friend were apparently going to a party or leaving a party or something like that.
Hmm.
And this was 1987
Yeah.
when this happened. So they were, walking. They were either leaving the party or going to the party,
Yeah.
and they see this thing swaying behind a tree.
Yeah. Behind a tree, hanging onto the tree, holding it with one arm and kind of going back and forth, which was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
the one thing that I thought was pretty good actually, and seeing how it came from Matt, um, you know, explaining why they do that. That was very informative, and I was surprised that it came from him. Did
well, the thing is,
I say that?
primates will do that. Primates will sway like that.
Right, right.
Monkeys,
They're trying
chimps,
to judge
gorillas,
the distance.
they will do that. Yes,
Yeah.
primates will do that kind of thing.
Yep.
Um, now one thing I didn't like that Money Baker did, he led the witness.
Oh yes.
He
Yeah.
said, Moneymaker said, "Were the shoulders 3 or 4 feet wide?" Ron never mentioned anything about the shoulders.
Well, at least we didn't see it. It may have ended up on the cutting room floor. But that's not the first time that Matt has done that. And he's a lawyer. He's trained as a lawyer. Why would he do that? It just, to me, it doesn't make sense. And I think it brings the credibility down of a particular story when he does that with a witness.
Well, and normally it would, but in this case, no, because I think Ron is pretty credible.
I
Are
understand
they
what you're saying, yeah, yeah. But in general, I'm saying that
right?
it does bring down the credibility of that particular witness. Um, and since the witness, his veracity doesn't need to be questioned. But for a fact that when Matt does that, it's just not a good thing, not at all.
Oh, I agree. I completely agree with you. Um, on the are they credible scale, Ron's account gets a 10 because he just told it straight out, and
Yeah.
he was very 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 articulate about it. He wasn't embellishing. I don't know, at least I don't feel he was embellishing anything.
Yeah, no, I think it was good. I'd agree, but I would say maybe a 9, but because I always like to leave a little bit of room. But yeah, very
A little
good.
bit of wiggle room.
Yeah, um, I think it was a very good witness.
Yeah, yeah. Now, that was the first time I ever heard Ron's account. I never heard it before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, hey, I mean, it was great. It was great to see him on the show and
Mm-hmm.
hear him talk about what he saw.
Yeah.
Now Matt, of course, talked to him, and then Cliff and Bobo went to talk to two witnesses who claimed in 2009 they were riding down the highway and something apparently
Yeah.
reached out for them, lunged for them from the side of the road. That does not really sound like typical behavior for a Sasquatch.
Yeah. Yeah, that one really was pretty low in the veracity level, I think. And I would probably give that one a 2 or a 3 because it didn't make sense. I mean, there were some things that maybe they might have seen something. They might have seen, something in the shadows or in the trees. Though it was a 4-lane highway, and I don't know. It's not that they have never been seen along a 4-lane highway, no, but I would think that 4-lane highways tend to be cleared pretty well, on either side, in the middle usually. Uh, so they could have seen something in the shadows. I don't know. It was at 9 o'clock at night. I'm thinking that had to be just past dusk at least. No, I don't remember hearing the time of year. Do you? But
No,
it,
I don't remember what time of year it was.
right. So, and that would have a lot to do too. So I don't know. It just it didn't add up to me.
No, no, it didn't. That report to me was just not very credible. I give it a 1. I mean, look, they saw something. They saw something
Yeah.
in the shadows. We don't know what that could have been.
Yeah. And I don't think they do really either. Yeah. Um,
And claiming that this thing, lunged at them, that
oh,
that just.
that's like, Godzilla.
I'm just,
That
no,
they
that
made me
report
very skeptical about
does
that.
not. Yeah, I was very skeptical about it myself. Yes, I was extremely skeptical. Now Renee, in the meantime, was camping in
Right. She was
an
camping.
area. What's that?
She was camping by herself near the Mark Twain National Forest, right?
Yes, yes, and she was actually in a cave and was mentioning that an animal or a person could come in here and shelter itself,
Right.
and also not only that, but it had running water going through it.
Right.
So she mentioned that any person or any animal could go in there and not only have shelter but have fresh water as well. So
Right. Yeah. And especially during a storm or something like that, that would be the perfect place.
yeah, I agree. It would be a perfect place. I found that to be quite interesting.
Yeah.
That she, you know, that she would have that, or that she would be in that cave like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, but I
Yeah.
think she wanted to show, even though she is skeptical of Sasquatch, supposedly, she was showing that, hey, this is a good place for them to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or this would be not just Sasquatch, but any kind of animal, or as she mentioned, even humans
Yeah.
could go in there.
Yeah. And certainly humans even. So, but that was quite interesting. Yes.
Yeah, it was. Um, and the final eyewitness account was of a fellow on his farm.
Yeah.
He was out whistling for his horse, looking for his horse,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden he sees this thing in a tree,
Right. Yes. That was
and
pretty interesting.
it jumps down,
Yeah.
feet straight to the ground, arms up in the air.
Yeah. Arms up in the air. So, um, and that would make sense with how their bodies work as opposed to humans too.
Yeah, and it fits with how primates. It fits with how primates would do that too.
Correct. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I gave that account a high amount of credibility. I'd say about a 9 on that one.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
I gave that one a great deal of credibility. I thought it was big because the thing is, you don't hear of too many accounts of these creatures in trees. You don't
No.
hear there's not a whole lot of reports out there of
Yeah.
that.
There are some reports. And this one apparently was juvenile. And it often is a juvenile that has been seen. Not all of them, again, or at least people aren't relating that necessarily being a juvenile. But I think
Mm-hmm.
this one, where he was quite clear about the description too, um,
Mm-hmm.
and that was, that that was a whole lot better than the people on the motorcycle. He was. He had a lot of details regarding this, um, and it I guess, came up to be about 3, 4 feet tall, um, which would be slightly smaller than the one that I saw. So, um,
Yeah.
it would probably be one who was, maybe 5 years old, 6 years old. And it was probably, learning to spot uh, for the rest of the family group. That would be my assumption, I guess. But it was up in a tree.
Well, I mean, and Moneymaker was saying, well, the reason he believed that they do that is because they're looking out in the fields for deer and things like that.
Well, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Moneymaker actually did say some things that made sense tonight, to be quite honest.
A
But
very,
there was other things he said, and
oh,
we're going to get into that.
yes.
That makes you go,
Hmm.
yeah. So they got these 3 reports,
Yep.
or these 3 accounts,
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah. And then they went to
was,
May.
and that's where they went to have their final night investigation, was in the area she was in.
She had been in. Yeah. Yeah. Um.
So, but now, interestingly enough, they used a very interesting technique this time.
Yes.
They
Yes.
had a local fiddler from Branson, Missouri, out there
Local
with
only
them.
in the performs there, but he's originally from Japan.
Yes, originally a Japanese fiddler. Yes,
Yeah, Japanese fiddler. He did a good Arkansas Traveler, I have to admit. Um,
he did.
but um, the other thing that I found quite interesting in this episode is they talked a lot about acoustics, because
Yes.
the area is full of limestone and limestone cliffs and things, and the hills, and they were talking frequently about the how the sound would travel and how it would bounce off of the limestone cliffs, and I'd never heard them talk about that before, so that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting as well, where they had, they did talk about the acoustics and how bounce off those hills.
Yeah, right.
And I think that plays a little bit later into the the final segment of the episode, to be quite honest.
Yeah, right.
But of course, the acoustics are interesting because when and the Japanese fiddler was fiddling
Right.
was on his fiddle, and all that sound is going to travel in that valley.
Right.
And it's gonna travel quite a bit. It's going to it's going to bounce off those walls,
Right.
maybe attract some attention.
Yeah,
It
and
did attract the attention of some coyotes. There were coyotes out there.
there were a lot of coyotes out there.
Yes,
That,
yes.
yeah. And they went to two different areas. They split up again, and
Yeah.
um, you kind of got the feeling that maybe you know, Cliff was really trying to. He was trying a bit hard, I thought, on this at this part of the segment. I don't know.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. I mean, just
Yeah,
to
he did seem to be trying hard. I'm not sure there was really as much going on as he tried to make it seem as if there were. I mean, there were a lot of coyotes. That was definite, and you could hear that. They did a knock, correct?
yeah, Bobo was actually knocking and accompanying and doing a growl
Right.
while they were playing the.
Fiddler was playing, yes.
Yes, he was. Yeah, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Kind of his way of accompanying them. I thought that was neat. So then the recorder caught something.
Yeah.
A sound, a strange sound.
It did.
Which Renee thought was most likely another coyote.
Correct.
But Moneymaker was absolutely insistent.
Yes.
Absolutely insistent. Oh, that was a Sasquatch. That was an Ohio howl. Well, I mean, and he's.
I don't know.
And Renee was like, no, I think that was most likely a coyote. Matt insists it's a Bigfoot. I think it was a coyote. And Matt's like, well, I think it's ludicrous to think that could have been a coyote.
Yeah.
It could have only been one thing.
Using that word, I don't know.
I mean, that to me, I mean, I don't know if that figures into him being an entertainer for the show. He's just doing that, for entertainment value.
No, I think that's just his.
Or what's that?
I think that's his hubris. He's so arrogant.
Yeah.
He's so, in this episode, I mean, I've never seen it on display to the degree that it was. I mean, it's always on display, but it was up there. I'm not sure I could rate it, but it was up there. It was very high.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that it was very high tonight. I agree.
Yeah, and I think that took away from what they were trying to accomplish there, but that's Matt.
Yeah, he just excuse me. I don't know. He just absolutely I don't know.
It was
It was eye rolling.
Yeah, I mean, I felt that I was always rolling my eyes whenever he opened his mouth.
Yeah, but look, the thing is, you cannot make an assumption.
No.
Let's see. John Green had a great saying. He said, "You cannot turn assumptions into probabilities or something like that. I can't remember
Right.
the.
Right. I mean, that's
I can't remember the phrasing. I
right.
mean, the thing is, if you are supposed to be scientific, quote unquote,
Yes.
you're supposed to eliminate all other possibilities before you say, "Oh yeah, that's what that was."
Right. No, that there doesn't seem to be much of a consideration regarding Matt, anyways. Uh, he has he comes immediately to the assumption that yeah, it's a Sasquatch, and that's that, and it could not be anything else, and it could not be you know any a coyote, be any other creature other than a Sasquatch. Okay, well, when you've got your mind so closed, um, you know, and that's why sometimes, despite myself, and I find myself agreeing with Renee more because of the fact that Matt just makes it so hard to go that way. I mean, it's too much. It's just too much. And Renee, this time, I think she was, her skepticism was again held in check to a fair degree. I mean, I would say, and I think she was absolutely right. It was the sound of coyote. It was not a Sasquatch.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, with
No,
all the acoustics going on
right.
in that area, um, any kind of noise, any noise that you hear, you have to take with a grain of salt.
Right. and and that was the thing that, you know, Matt so often couldn't just, he just couldn't hold himself back. Oh, that was a Sasquatch. Oh, yes. Oh, definitely.
Right. Yeah. And you can't. The thing is, you cannot go out and say yes, that was a Sasquatch, without eliminating all the other possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's been a lot of criticism thrown at Finding Bigfoot because of that, because of the fact that Moneymaker immediately says, "Yeah, that's a Sasquatch." And
Right.
sometimes, not always, but sometimes Cliff and Bobo tend to go that way as well.
Right. And there
I don't
was
know
a
if it's
where Cliff seemed to do that, but they do it a whole lot less, and you're not as, um, you're willing to kind of pass, give them a pass on whatever they say it. But Moneymaker, that's all he says. It's no matter what sound it is, it's always a Sasquatch. It's never anything.
mhm.
Never.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people have talked about how Moneymaker. Well, when the show first started, when Finding Bigfoot first started back in 2011, it seemed like every week there was a post on Crypto Mundo about Moneymaker immediately saying it's a Sasquatch. Moneymaker responded to those posts by saying, "Well, they just edited it that way." Well, no, they didn't edit it that way.
Well,
No
if they're
amount.
they're editing it so that that's what comes out, and that I think that's bad editing, to be honest, if that's what it is. But it's probably not the editing, no.
I don't think it's the editing.
It just comes right out of his mouth.
Yeah, it does. It does come right out of his mouth, exactly. And I realize that we seem like we're picking on Matt Moneymaker. We're really not trying to. But by the same time, there's got to be some some scientific discipline.
Yeah, yeah. And I wish that, I really like the historians. I like, you know, they've had other scientists on there talking about different things. I really like when they do that. And I like it better when there are more people, you know, who are experts in certain things talking on that show than Matt Moneymaker. I mean, sorry. You know, my patience with him is really beginning to wear. And,
Yeah.
um, you know, and it makes, you know, you and I have talked about how, you know, this show does have a far better look to it, you know, and is far more scientific than the show that has been shown previously to the show. And, you know, how it's far more scientific. But I think, you know, if they really want this to be truly scientific, there, you know, there has to be more in there on that, you know, and just having Renee in there as a skeptical biologist, well, that's wearing thin too. Um, there needs to be something else in there, to me, just, you know, um, you know, some of their better shows have not featured the individuals so much. And in this show, there was way too much Matt. I'm sorry, way too much Matt.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Oh, I've said it
Um,
now.
okay, the views of
Yes,
Jennifer Sandberg,
they're only my views. They're only
they're
my,
only her views. They do not represent the views of Looking for Bigfoot News Hour.
no, no, not
Um,
not wholly.
no, but you know, you compare a show like Finding Bigfoot to, and I'm going to keep making this Survivor Man.
Yeah, that was really
Survivor Man,
that was really good.
you know, the thing with Survivor Man, Les Stroud, is he walks that tightrope between skepticism and acceptance.
Yeah, yeah, and I
He
like
does
that.
not he does not fall on either side of that fence.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because he hasn't seen anything, he hasn't heard anything that he can say, yes, that was a Sasquatch.
Hmm. Hmm.
Although that last episode that they did, they heard something. They got something on the recorder, but who knows what it could have been.
Yeah, but it
Did
has to
not
be
Sasquatch.
right. Exactly.
What
I
was
mean,
that?
there are so many ways that they could add so much more variety in to it. Um, you know, like the historian, the scientist, the you know, some of their better episodes have, as I say, have not featured the four people that are on Finding Bigfoot. It's been more about a culture or a uh, particular area. Um, and you know, talk more about the wildlife there. What wildlife are in the Ozarks? I mean, it can't be the same as the wildlife in Mississippi, or the same as wild. It's got to be different. So talk more about that. You know, that to me that would add a lot more. But I don't know. I mean,
Well,
are you
what
going for
you know, the
entertainment
things,
or are you going for
the
information?
thing. Well, right. I mean, that's. I think maybe Finding Bigfoot is more into the entertainment aspect. I don't think they're necessarily into the science aspect.
Right.
They're
Right.
more for information
I
and
know.
awareness of, maybe not necessarily scientific study, but awareness to the general public.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they've really done that. But
They have the right various
the show with
balance.
Les Stroud was far more, you know, it was a little deeper, you know.
But finding Bigfoot like that precarious balance. They have to have entertainment, but they also have the awareness factor.
Yeah.
And sometimes the science takes a back seat, unfortunately, on finding Bigfoot.
Yeah. I mean,
I know. Cliff tries his best to be scientific.
Yeah.
I know that Renee, of course, tries to be scientific, but even Cliff sometimes falls into that trap.
Yeah. Agreed. I agree.
You know, and it may not even be a conscious thing that he falls into that trap.
Yeah. He is, at times he seems a little more careful, and then other times he's not.
Right.
I would like to see him be a little more scientific, because I think in addition, though he's a believer, and that combination of being a believer and the scientific viewpoint, I think, is quite powerful. And it's not to say that Renee's, I mean, she is a scientist, but her skepticism sometimes gets in the way of how the program, how it flows.
I would have to go along with that. Now I think we can step off our soapbox.
Oh no!
We've been on our soapbox again. Let's see. As far as a rating on this episode, just for the two really good eyewitness accounts, I'm going to give this episode about a 7.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree.
Because Moneymaker will definitely, to me, affected the grade of this episode.
Oh yeah, to a great degree. Yeah.
He really did. He affected the grade of this episode. It just,
Yeah.
He was just being his magnanimous self.
I'm not sure the word magnanimous is the right one, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, they are going to be in Texas next week.
Yeah.
Back in Texas. This is their second time. This will be their second time.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. Right.
Here and some quick plugs. The SquatchUnlimited.org website, free to sign up with. You can also get some limited access to the encounters.squatchunlimited database page.
Right.
But if you join the Facebook group Team Squatch Unlimited, you get full, unfettered access to the entire database.
Right.
So those who have not signed up with the Team Squatch Unlimited Facebook page, you're missing out, because the database is really terrific. They took all of John Green's reports and they put them into one accessible database, into a form that is easy to follow, easy to read, and it's really tremendous. So I would recommend going to the Facebook Team Squatch Unlimited page and signing up and getting full access.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see, what else should I plug? Oh, my May-HBM Cryptid-Corner segment is going to be a little late. It was supposed to have been uploaded today, but I forgot. I completely slipped my mind.
Oh,
so I'll probably upload it late tonight or early tomorrow.
How could you do that?
Sometimes I get forgetful, you know.
You're too
But
young to be forgetful, Henry.
I know, but still.
It was a nice
But
summer
no,
day.
I'll get that uploaded either tonight or tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. So next week we're going to be here after Finding Bigfoot goes off the air. Be a little after 10 because apparently now they have programming. The programming goes, a little bit longer into the hour.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's for more commercials or for more content, but
Probably more
um,
commercials. I don't know.
and the triumphant return of the Breaking Bad cast will be Friday, January, July 10th. It'll be Friday, July 10th, 8 Eastern, 7 Central.
Yes.
Breaking
Yes.
Bad cast um, channel,
Yes.
the Breaking Bad cast YouTube channel, and then Shane will be back in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Right here on the Looking for Bigfoot News Hour.
Right.
So I guess that's it for tonight. Well, we'll see y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Good night, everybody.